Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today in this masterclass. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jasmine, and I am a motherhood and matrescence coach. So I work with women and supporting them in the transition of becoming mothers and throughout the motherhood journey, just finding out, navigating the challenges that they experience and just helping them to take care of themselves. I do this through coaching one-to-one. I've got run women's circles as well. And I've got a group program now, and now I've created this masterclass for you. And I hope you enjoy it. I'm very excited to share this with you. And to begin, I'm going to share my screen. Can you see my screen? No? Okay. Let me just... Okay. Share screen again. Can anyone see my screen now? Yes? Great. Perfect. Okay. And I just need to double check this. Okay, perfect. All right, let's get started. So this is the masterclass, 5 habits for being a perfectly imperfect mother and discovering a more balanced way to live your life as a mother. So what we will talk about today is about perfectionism. So, and perfectionism in motherhood. So motherhood comes with a lot of expectations and a lot of pressure. We talk about a perfect mother or being a good mother and just acting up and living up to those standards. So we're going to talk about how we can step away from that and move into living a life with more balance and just embracing our imperfection and focusing in that balance. And before we get into the habits, I'm just going to leave this first. I believe that the best way to find balance in motherhood is by reconnecting with yourself and with who you really are. And now I created a new way to do that, which is a reset program, a mentoring program, which I'll talk to you about later. But first, we're going to go into these 5 habits. And also, for those of you who can stay to the end of the session, there's a special gift. So please stay to the end. And before we go into the habits, I'm just going to tell you a little bit of what brings me here and kind of my story and why I'm sharing with you this today with more detail. So I'm just going to stop sharing this. And yeah, so really my story begins when I became a mother. So my own transition into motherhood. When I was pregnant, I thought the hardest part of being a mother or this transformation was gonna be to have my baby, right? And you know, I was a very well traveled woman, very resourceful, educated. So I thought, you know, the mothering side of it, should be right. I mean, anyone can do it. And I mean, women have been doing it for ages, and I'd be able to do it as well. But what was more my focus then was preparing for birth, right? So that was all my attention. However, I realized very soon as I had my first baby, that that was not the case. So when I had my baby, I felt like I split in 2. So one part of me was incredibly happy and blessed for having my baby. I was long expecting this baby, but my other part of me felt completely vulnerable, scared, insecure. So I was completely broken, one part of me. And as weeks and months went by, I didn't feel how I supposed, or I thought that I was supposed to feel as a mother. I mean, I loved my baby, but I was exhausted. I was at my lowest point. I had a very difficult birth experience, and I was trying to heal from that whilst figuring out, the baby side of things and knowing this new human being. And I remember thinking, why can this be possible? How am I supposed to care about this human being and try to pick myself up? I felt like I'd lost my confidence, my strength, and kind of the trust in my own instincts as well. And I think I wasn't prepared for what was coming after birth and this postnatal period. Certainly, I did all the antenatal preparation that everyone used to do or keeps doing, and it didn't prepare me for how I felt or how I was going to feel after, or may feel after having my baby. And I'm not talking about, the postnatal pains or episiotomy or stitches or whatever. I'm talking about how I felt with myself and about my baby and about being a mother. So I just really wanted to go back to who I was, like desperately looking for something to bring my old self back. I was trying to get to do the things that I used to do, and just to feel that sense of stability and of knowing who I was. I wanted to go just back to work as soon as possible because I wanted some of my old life back. And then I felt pregnant again, unexpectedly, after 13 months. So my baby was 13 months. And this was when I realized, okay, this is not going back to, I'm not going back to that life. And it was a powerful transformation this time, a powerful reckoning with myself. And it was until I kind of surrendered and stopped resisting the change of my life and that becoming of a mother, that everything started to kind of fit more into place. So in this, as I did this, I kind of opened myself to experience birth, pregnancy, birth, and then the postnatal period differently. And, and it worked better. I felt much more empowered. And actually, I had a very positive birth experience, which helped me heal my first birth experience. And I just started to slowly shift my thinking and see things differently, enjoying more that time where I was and this new baby period as well. It wasn't easy. I had 2 children, but I felt like I was resisting less, and that felt good. And then I found about matrescence. And matrescence is that process and transformation we women experience as we become mothers. And then everything clicked when I found about this. It's like everything makes sense. Everything that I had experienced for the last 2 years of being a mother made sense when I found about matrescence and what it means and the changes that women can experience and how we could feel about ourselves, our babies, our families, and everything. And it just allowed me to understand myself, my own journey, to be more forgiving with myself and with my feelings and with what I was experiencing, and see myself with more compassion, and to keep going as well with surrendering in this process. And this matrescence and this journey has been an amazing self-discovery for me. It has taken me through an incredible journey and keeps taking me through a journey of self-discovery and growth. And now I have more tools to support myself and during the challenging periods. And now I found my passion working with moms and sharing this with you, with all moms that, I mean, everyone needs that. Everyone needs that support, and I believe that everyone needs to know about matrescence and all that I'm going to be talking to you about. So I believe that matrescence and motherhood is and can be the ultimate growth experience for a woman. And this is my way to sharing this with you. And yes, so that brings me to the masterclass. Just a quick introduction about myself. And I'm just gonna get started now with, oh my goodness, I cannot see anything with my screen. Sorry, it's gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share, and yeah, there we go. And start with the 5 habits that I've created for you. So before we start, I want to ask you, what's a good mother? What do you think when I tell you who is a good mother, or who is the perfect mother? Who is she? How is she? Put me in the chat. How does she look like? How does she feel? How does she behave? Whatever you can think of when you think about a good mother. We're gonna hear about this, like the perfect mother, the superhero mom. Someone who is present. She's caring, nurturing. She listens. She doesn't lose her shit. Yes, absolutely. She's on, and something is that it comes to my mind is that she's her children are the most important thing. No, good that you put compassionate with herself and looks after her own needs. She doesn't listen to us. Good, thank you, Naomi. All right, so I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the perfect mother myth. So the perfect mother myth is a concept created by Dr. Sophie Burke. She's a sociologist, and she came up with this. Well, no, she didn't. Well, she studied and she researched something that she called the perfect mother myth, and essentially, it's also known as the idealized mother, the good mother concept, the super mother. And essentially, it's all the ideas, the set of ideas and expectations that we receive as we grow up and in our life, of what it means to be a good mother, and what good mothers should do, or how good mothers should behave, and we are introduced to these expectations for this role long before we are mothers. So we see this everywhere. So from our own upbringing, from our family, from the media and Hollywood, everywhere. It's everywhere. And it's come with these very specific expectations and definitions of what it is to be a good mother. A lot of that things, because we grew up with them and we saw them, we might think they are our own values, but they are values that have been fed up to us by the society we live in. And depending on the society we live in, these values might be different. But essentially, it is not us. It's not our values. It doesn't come from us. It's something that the society is kind of feeding us with. And different cultures, different social structures have different expectations, and we all integrate or internalize different things of this perfect mother. And just as a general description, here are some of the things that come into that perfect mother. So for the perfect mom, enjoys motherhood. It comes naturally to her. She looks a certain way. Her birth was in a certain way. She is probably white, middle class, married, heterosexual. She has 2 children. She is a girl and a boy. She is, economically independent, but she's always putting her children first. Work never comes before her children. She's not relying on her partner for money. So she's independent financially. She's selfless. She takes all the domestic load, and she is happy to do so. She is content. She is she's never angry. She's never frustrated, and you know, it keeps adding up and up and up and up, and it's everywhere, and it's somehow connected with when we grew up, what we call the good girl or a good woman, and how good women behave and how good girls should be. So if you ever thought that when you were growing up you fit in, you wanted to be the good girl or the good mother, it's very likely that you have some of these internalizations of the perfect mother as well, and we all do, you know. And exactly, Naomi, it is impossible to meet. And this is my next point. The perfect mother is a myth. It doesn't exist. It's impossible to attain. No one is like that. And whenever you go to Instagram and see people that look like the perfect mother, they're not. They're not. There's something that it's not. It's impossible. It is a myth. However, many of us measure ourselves up to many of these impossible standards. And that can lead to feeling not good enough, feeling that you're not doing enough, feeling that you should be doing more, to disappointment, frustration, to being isolated as well. And it has a lot of other mental health and well-being consequences, right? And it has guilt as a tool to put you back into, you know, acting into the perfect mother, because that's how you go back to it. You know, the guilt is what takes you back to try this and try harder and be better and do. But the reality is our lives are different. We are human beings. Nobody is perfect. We are, and the thing with the perfect mother myth is that it's a binary thing. It's talking about the good or the bad mother, and it's binary. It's black and white. And our lives are multidimensional. They're rich. They're complex, and there's not such thing as a perfect mother or a bad mother. So you're not either or. No, there's loads of gray areas, and sometimes it's easier to think for us as humans in binaries, in good and white, black and white, and it's sometimes harder to navigate the gray areas. That's why we kind of tend to fall into the good and bad and binaries. But hopefully what I will share with you today will help you feel more comfortable sitting into those gray areas and finding more balance in those gray areas for you as a mother, for your family, and as a woman as well. And hopefully look at yourself with less judgment. And okay, habit number 1. This is the first step, habit thing, to step away from that perfect mother. And it's something that, like you said, Naomi, looking after your own needs. So showing up for yourself. So the perfect mother is she self-sacrifices herself for her children, right? Can you see me, right? Because I cannot see. It's the sun hitting my screen. Okay. So she sacrifices herself. She puts the needs of her children above her needs. And the thing is, being a mother is a relationship. You know, we're in a relationship that the needs of both parts are equally important. We are not in competition with the needs of our children. It's not them or us. You know, it's not binary. And self-sacrifice is not the highest form of love, like we've probably heard somewhere. It's showing up for yourself what makes us more able to show up for others. And sometimes that means to put yourself first and put yourself in that kind of at the top of that priority list. And sometimes that means living or spending time away from our children. And that can be hard at times. And it's hard because, you know, taking that time for yourself. Okay, you know me. Finding time to yourself hasn't been modeled to us. We never learned how to do this. For many of us, our mothers didn't used to take time for themselves. They will sacrifice themselves for us and for their children. So it's not something that we learn from our mothers. And I want to tell you a little bit about when I fell into this self-sacrificing mode and looking after myself. When my daughter was 13 months old and I got pregnant, I knew that something had to change. So I was terrified about going through birth, through pregnancy, in birth, and the postnatal stage again. So I had to change. There was something needed to change. So I started to look more after myself, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And luckily, I have a mother who had modeled this for me. She did many sacrifices, but she was always looking after herself, and she was looking after her well-being always, and she was a lot into personal growth. But so that, I think that helped me kind of make that change when I felt, and I knew that I needed that time, and I was like rock bottom. That helped. That doesn't mean that it was easy to do it, or that I didn't feel guilty about it. Sometimes I did feel guilty, and I still sometimes feel guilty when I have to when I take my time away and my time off. But you know what? I know now that this guilt that I feel is not my guilt, because I know that looking after myself, it's aligned with my values. So it's nothing that I'm doing against myself. It's just like, it's this guilt from this perfect mother that is coming to tell me, hey, you should sacrifice yourself for your children. You shouldn't take time for yourself. You should be there all the time, 24/7 mothering. And I thought that before I started doing this and taking this time for myself and practicing these things, I thought that I don't have time for this. I had so much to do. I don't have time for doing this. But because it was so pressing to me in that moment, because I was going to go through pregnancy and birth, and it was like a time bomb that I was going to experience a massive change, and I needed to do something about it. I started to make the time, and I was surprised at how much time I could carve out for myself when I really tried. And it comes with putting boundaries, and with myself, and with my partner, and with my family. But even those boundaries with myself of saying, okay, I'm not gonna watch that TV show tonight. I'm just gonna spend this time with myself. Or before I go, and every time I'm gonna watch my phone, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna think twice before I do. What can I do instead? So it is being it's a journey. It's a muscle that we exercise. The more we do it, the easier it gets. But also, it's not only important for us to do it for ourselves, but also it's something that we are modeling to our children, right? So we are showing how important it is to look after yourself. So hopefully in the future, my children will be able to set the boundaries, to say no, to take time for themselves, to take time for rest, to know that they're worthy of these things, because I'm modeling this for them. So it's not just for me. It's for both of us. Okay. Great. The second one. I'm just going to turn my my window lying down. Oh, that's better. Now I can see you. Oh, great. Fab. There was the sun all over the place. Great. So practicing emotional regulation. this is something I didn't know anything about when I became a mother. Emotional what? Regulation? What? I had no idea. And so I didn't know how to regulate my emotions, or I didn't know even that I had to regulate my emotions, right? And then when there was this period when just before lockdown, we lived in South Africa for a few months. There was an opportunity to move there with me and my family for my husband's work. And I thought, yes, let's do it. It's exciting. We're going to travel. It's a new experience. Okay, let's do it. Let's go for it. And then the reality it was that it was great, but it also was a very stressful time for me. I put myself into a lot of a very stressful situation. So to begin with, I was building my own business. I was building the mothership. I just started doing the mothership, and that meant that I had to take the time away from my work and my project. But also, we were living in a city in Joburg, and my husband was working in a different city. So he was working away 4 days a week. So from Monday to Thursday, I was on myself in this new city with 2 children. I didn't know anyone. And even though we had more help than we do here in London, and the kids could actually go to nursery because we could afford it, and they would do a few days a week at nursery, I still find it really hard. I would try to take time for myself when they were at nursery and try to go to the gym, exercise, do stuff for myself. But I still was finding it very difficult to cope. The afternoon with the kids were long and lonely. Like I said, I didn't have friends and family there. And the kids were, because they were in nursery, they were constantly ill. Felix was waking up. He was 1 and he was waking up like 3 or 4 times a day. Luna was in this stage of tantrums and meltdowns that's so hard. And I felt so triggered by it. And sometimes I would just snap at her, shout, completely lose it. And it was bad. And I didn't like it. I didn't like myself like that. I was becoming someone who always said that I was never gonna be. And then came COVID lockdown. So we had to move back to London, which was kind of an extra pressure because there's another move. And then we come to London we had a house in South Africa. Here we have a small flat, no nurseries, all cramped together. I thought, okay, I need to change. And for me, that seeing myself snapping that way at my children was a call for help. I needed to do something. I needed to learn to manage these feelings, these emotions better. And that's when I started to learn about emotional regulation. And there's many ways you can learn this. And the one that my entry point was mindfulness, which I started to do a training on mindfulness, and I started to feel calmer. It's not magical. It's not instantaneous overnight, but I did start feeling a difference, and I was very committed to my practice, and that really helped. It helped me manage my feelings, better understand myself as well, why was I reacting that way, and how I could change the way that I react. And so this is something that I believe is essential to everyone, and just learning this more about emotional regulation. And before we go to the next one, just wanted to know if you do you do it? Do you know anything about it? How does that sound? Do you think it's something you should learn more of? Or do you feel able, I guess, to manage your emotions? Or Yes. So do the journaling. Okay, but you need to do more, Kate. Great. And there's many ways that you can, there's many tools for this, you know, for mindfulness, meditation, breathing, but essentially they are all about connecting with your body. That's the big principle. It's connecting with your body. Right, great. I'm gonna go to the next one, unless you're typing something, Tina. If I slept well, it works better. Yes, resting. Absolutely. Okay, then the number 3, being curious about yourself. All right, before, so when Aluna was little, I remember, probably the first year of motherhood, I remember just keep thinking things would get easier. You know, things will get easier when she sleeps through the night. Things will get easier when she stops night feeds, when she goes to nursery, when I go to work, when she goes to school, when, and just waiting for something external to change for me to feel happier. Things that I had no control of. And actually, things wouldn't get easier. She was sleeping through the night, but then something else came. And then she was, you know, going to nursery, but she was having these massive tantrums. So things were not getting easier. They was just different. And the thing is, we as mothers, we cannot continue growing with our children, experiencing shifts and changes and challenges as they grow. Every stage of their lives is a stage we move along with and comes with different challenges. So things just don't get easier. And if we wait for things externally to change, then we don't have control over that change. We don't have power over that. And when I found about matrescence, and matrescence being this transformation.
Oh yeah.
So being this transformation into motherhood, I realized that we are always in this cycle. This is an ongoing process. We are always learning and growing and changing. There's always challenges. And what I was doing by waiting for my daughter to change or go to the next milestone, it was trying to change them. So instead of trying to change them and their life and situation, I had to go and see what I could change in myself, how I could respond better to the situations. How could I change my beliefs or what I thought about things? And that's where I had power. That's where I have control. That's something I can work with. And to do that, we need to be curious about ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, why is this triggering me? Why is this, what do I need to heal here? What do I need to work with here? And all this, for all this, we need to go within us. So really all the answers are within us. So it's that practice of self-awareness, of checking in with yourself, of self-reflection. Kate mentioned that you journal. Well, that's a great way to practice this curiosity, and just when you journal, just go through it and then read it back, no? Because that's where you find the answers and things that you might need to work on. And you could do meditation, journaling, talking therapy, breath work, whatever you need to have that curiosity and exploration and build that self-awareness and create those spaces for you to have that connection with yourself. And not only it is a habit that we have to build on. So we need to work, it gets easier. The more we do it, it gets easier. But also we have to do it often, right? We have to always go back and check in, particularly when things outside are feeling more challenging. Great. Okay, now let's go to habit number 4. And this is gonna sound counterintuitive for some of you. I know, kind of when I wrote it, I thought like, but bear with me. So don't avoid suffering for your child. So we talk about the perfect mom. We talk about how the perfect mom, she feels endless happiness. She's patient, content, gentle. She never feels anger or frustration. She never loses her temper. But let's remember that she is a myth. The perfect mother doesn't exist. We are all human. And even when we are all practicing self-regulation and mindfulness and managing our emotions, we all get triggered sometimes. We all mess up sometimes. And even when we are trying to keep our calm, we sometimes flip. We are human. So I told you earlier about my time in South Africa when I found that very, very hard to manage my emotions around my children. And I would sometimes snap at them or shout at them. And the immediate result was this bashing feeling of guilt. I would feel so, so guilty. And then some of that guilt is useful. Some of that guilt is telling me, hey, you did something that's not aligned with your values. So that's a flag. So look into it. There's something you need to look at and go back. But then the other part of that guilt, which is not helpful, is the one that comes from that perfect mother myth that's saying, oh, you're not being a good mother. And that's the guilt that was making me feel worse. So that is the guilt that, you keep bashing yourself with a guilt stick and keep self-judging you and self-criticizing you and just being, keep putting that finger in that, and saying yourself things like, I'm such a bad mother, they deserve something else, some better mother. And it's, again, you go into this good or bad, right? I'm such a bad mother because I yelled at my children, and it's not helpful, and it's not healthy, and it was actually causing me more pain than the actual mistake that I made. Right? And it's also not helping me connect with my children, feeling more compassionate to them, which is what I needed to feel in that moment. What I needed then is having self-compassion, is having that forgiveness. I was not a bad mother. I'm not a bad mother. The reality is I was having a very hard time. And I was doing my best with the resources that I had available. And in that moment of triggering of that, in those moments when I kind of lost it, I was being triggered, I was losing my temper, but what was happening behind the scenes is that I would go into flight. When we're triggered, our brain goes into fight and flight mode. Your mind feels threatened. It feels that it's a threat. Even when you know that irrationally there's no threat, there's this feeling of threat. And therefore, the kind of the more evolved part of our brains just shuts off. And then we are more likely to lose our temper. So what I needed to do then, and what I learned later, and now I keep trying to practice every time, is that I need to take myself back into safety, into feeling safe. And how we do it is, as well, again, just regulating your nervous system, giving yourself some compassion. And once you do that, once you're back into that safety mode, then it's time to take responsibility. And then you go and apologize to your children. And that's when you will repair the mistake. So we're not here to stop our children from experiencing any suffering. This is not our job. But we are here to teach them about repair and build connection with them through this repair. So it's more important to build that repair than just don't fucking it up at all. right? And it's also, it's not only building connection with your child, but it's giving them an important lesson, which is you can accept your own flaws. We are all imperfect, and you can mess up, and you can repair. So that's how we model our children, that it's okay not to be perfect. Okay. All right. How does that sound? Does that feel like something? How do you feel about this? Do you when you get triggered, do you bash yourself with guilt? Do you, yeah, you keep in that making yourself feel worse? How do you feel about finding ways not to feel like that? It's hard when sometimes partners pull you up when you have a tiny sleep. Or it's the perfect mother idea. Absolutely. But pull you up. I can see my friends who seem really happy as they are pleased with how they are imperfect, but it's hard not to feel guilty, especially when you've had a bad role model. Absolutely. And we talk about the modeling aspect of it. It is hard because we were not modeled these things to ourselves. So we don't know how to do it. But that's how why it is important for us to model it to our children as well. How they are perfect. And the guilt is, there's two different guilts, and it doesn't, one guilt I talked about is that guilt that helps you, you know, there's the guilt that tells you, okay, you did something that you're not happy with, you are not, it's not aligned with who you want to be, who your values, or who you are. So that is a useful guilt. So not all guilt is bad. So there's a guilt that has a purpose of putting us back into our values, and that's useful guilt. What's not useful or helpful is to attaching ourselves to that guilt and giving it more power that it should. So it's done its job, it's pulling me back, and that's it. And then the other guilt is the guilt that comes from that perfect mother, the one that you probably talk about. Yeah, the one that you talk about is that guilt that comes from this perfect mother myth. So the moment, because we've internalized these things, so the moment we're stepping away from this model, there's this guilt that's there to pull you back. It's not working for you, it's working for the patriarchal motherhood and the perfect mother myth. And this is the guilt that it takes time to get rid of. And it probably, I don't know if it ever goes away, it might always be present, but it's being aware of it and help and tolerating some of that guilt. I talked about earlier how, you know, taking time for myself is something I do and I practice, and doesn't mean I don't feel guilty about. I do feel sometimes guilty about it, but it's a guilt that doesn't stop myself. It is like, okay, I know that is this, what I'm doing is aligned with my values and what I need now, and this is the guilt that it's not serving me, so I'm just tolerating it rather than letting me stop myself from doing things. Okay, let's go to the last one. Okay, taking motherhood as an opportunity to growth, and it's very aligned with everything that we talked about before. And I talked about matrescence, this process of becoming a mother, and it's a developmental process of becoming a mother. And when we see matrescence and this ongoing transformation through the eyes of the woman, of the woman who experiences it, we, rather than just looking at it from, you know, you are a mother because you're mothering your children, you're also a mother because you are becoming a mother. That represents a change in yourself, a process of growth. And when we open ourselves to look at it that way, we open ourselves to an opportunity to grow and to expand and to learn and to become a better self. It's when we start chasing the impossible standards of the perfect mother, of the society, and take this opportunity to actually reconnect with yourself, rediscover who you are now in this matrescence, in this mother, as in this new part of your identity, who you are, what your values are, what's your true essence, and what really matters to you, not what all the shoulds that come from outside that you should have in your life, but what do you want? Then there's great potential that we unlock for ourselves and for our family. And there's times that might feel more difficult and challenging than others in this mothering life. As we all know, children go through changes and challenges, and sometimes might feel darker and more difficult. But there's an opportunity for us to grow in each of these stages. And as we move along this like cyclical process, an ongoing process of challengings and growth, it's like a spiral. So I think if you're not going around in circles, but there's a challenge, and then you come out of that challenge with new learning, new wisdom, with the gifts that push you up a little level. And then you keep going, and then the next challenge as well might feel trickier, but you've got more in you, more wisdom, more learning, and then you go up, and that's it. And that's what motherhood and matrescence and life is about. So this is an opportunity for me. I believe motherhood is an opportunity to grow personally, and the moment I accept this as a truth, and I take this almost like a guide, for living, is I realize there's endless possibilities. You can create from there. That's from the growth, from the learning. That's something that you can build on. Okay. And this is it. So do you have it? What do you think about this last one? Taking motherhood. Do you see motherhood as a personal growth experience? Does it make you, have you kind of experienced some sort of awakening on that sense of reconnection with who you are, perhaps? Let me know in the chat, and we can carry on with it for the next point. They have grown in different ways. Yes. Both of my daughters. Okay. And that's the thing. And also I believe that our children have so much to teach us. And our children have so much to teach us. And it's such a and each of our children have different things to teach us as well. And it's an opportunity, right, to take it as a growth experience. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So just a recap of the 5 different points, habits that we talk about. So the first one is showing up for yourself, just being that and modeling to our children. So that importance of showing up for yourself and modeling to your children. Practicing emotional regulation, again, just using different tools that are available so you can work on that part. Being curious about yourself, and doing that inner work and building that self-awareness of what you need, and then don't avoid suffering for a child. And that goes in line with being more compassionate with yourself and more and building the repair, right? And working on that repair. And then finally, taking that motherhood as an opportunity to grow. So what do you think? Do you think we cover a good amount of information to help you to work with? Is there anything? The guilt you spoke about was very much how I felt with my first girl, sadly. And we see that a lot, Kate. We experience, like I said, motherhood is an ongoing process, and you know, our first children are always the kind of the biggest teacher, I guess. And then we go to the second or third children. We keep living matrescence, and we experience these transformations, but we are in a different level. You know, we've got more wisdom to work with. Sure. Thank you, Christina. Okay, so we've come to a point where I'm going to ask you, well, I'm just going to share with you just a few words that people have shared about working in these things of, you know, working on self-awareness and going inwards and working with yourself and creating space and learning about emotional regulation. So we did a session and someone said, I felt completely relaxed and I felt fulfilled from the session. Jasmine's a great facilitator who holds the space in a beautiful, calm and safe way. And the session comes with so much thought and relevance, perfect for a couple of hours of me time. So it really speaks to how much and how important it is to have those spaces for yourself and how much we need that as mothers, and we just forget about it. Okay, now we're coming to the end of these 5 habits. And what I would like to tell you now is that you can take this now and put it in practice, or you can come with me and let me help you do it. So I've created a program which is based in exactly these things. So it is built on the things that can help you work in feeling more balanced as a mother and working in all these things that we talk about. And I've done it with a lot of care and love. I've worked for it for so long. I'm so happy that I'm now able to share it with you guys. But let me know if you want to hear about it now, and I can tell you quickly. I can stay for 5 more minutes, 10 more minutes, and tell you a bit about this program that I'm going to start enrollments or registrations this week. So let me know in the chat if there's something you would like to hear about. Yes, cool, great, perfect. So I'll tell you just quickly, I won't take a lot of your time, about this new program. It's called Mothers Reset. It is a 7-week online program for mothers who want to feel like themselves again. And in this program, you will learn to reconnect with yourself and your intuition. So something that we talk about, this self-awareness, recognize when you need to get back to yourself and recharge, and how to do this. And this is, you know, we all get, even having all the tools, I still get to that point that I'm like burned out. But I know the flags, and I know that when I see those flags, I can go back, and I need that time, and I need to recharge. So this is something that you're gonna learn through this program. You're gonna get some tools to manage and regulate your emotions better, build awareness of your own needs, and how you can start to take better care of yourself. You're gonna soften up, be kinder, more compassionate to yourself. We talk about this guilt, and we want to work on that and building that compassion. You're gonna be able to keep up with your self-care practices and routines. So I know that we all say that I need to take some time for myself, but it's hard to actually do it, go and do it and be constant and keep doing it. So with this program, you're gonna have the support to do it and the accountability to do it as well. And you're gonna start living a more balanced life, or find more balance in your life. So there's 7 weeks. It's got 7 weeks. It's a 7-week program, but we've got the first week and last week there are the opening and the closing ceremonies. So the kind of the core of the content is through 5 weeks. So the first week we talk about honoring your journey, so where you are, all that you've learned through motherhood, through matrescence. We talk a lot about expectations, and kind of the expectations that we come up with when we become mothers, or wherever we are in our motherhood journey, and how to bridge that gap between your expectations and actual experiences that sometimes can cause a lot of distress. Then we talk about your emotions, your body and your mind. This is where we kind of focus on that nervous system regulation and feeling grounded and trying to feel more calm and relaxed. And the third module is about healing that feminine. This is my favorite module. It is, when we talk about the perfect mother and mothering in the mother world, there's a lot of rejection of that feminine way, and it's like the patriarchal way of mothering. And so we're going to work on healing that feminine side and healing and connecting with our feminine energy and slowing down. We're talking about cycles, seasons and rhythms. The fourth module will talk about reclaiming your self-love, and this is all about building compassion and kindness for resilience. Then we've got the fifth module is about calling your future, so starting to visualize and create the life you want for yourself and your family. It's a lot of visualization in that module. Okay, and how we do it is, so like I said, there's like 6, so it's 5 weeks of core content, but we open with the 1.5 hours of an opening ceremony. Then we've got the weekly sessions, which initially are booked for Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. But I need to, depends on the people that are in the group. If this time doesn't work, we can figure out something out. There's a workbook for you with practices to do in between sessions. So the idea is that you build that practice of self-care in every day. So you need 10 to 15 minutes a day, nothing else, nothing more than that. It's not a lot, but it is, as we work with this together and as a group, it's going to be easier for you to keep on, stick to that routine, right? And be more accountable for that as we go together as a group. We're going to have a wide range of self-care tools and practices. We're going to talk about some of the tools that we're going to use come from mindfulness, journaling, visualization, meditation, breathing, and some gentle movement as well. There's going to be a weekly email with complimentary information and resources. There's going to be a community space in Telegram where you can share questions, experiences, and connect with each other and the group. And then at the end, we've got 1.5 hours of a closing ceremony and a circle. This first edition of Reset is the first time I do it. It's going to be very special, so I'm just going to do it for 8 people. So it feels kind of more, more close together. Then there's a bonus. So I am giving you on top of that, which is 3 guided meditations that will support you with kind of your practices and throughout the program. And I'm also offering a very limited bonus, which is I'm gonna offer just for people that booked before Tuesday, a one-to-one coaching session to work on a specific challenge that you may have. And you could do that during the 7-week program, or you can do it up to 3 months after the program. So if perhaps something you need to go deeper with, or as you finish the course and you kind of go your way and start practicing and keep practicing, there's something that came up for you and you want to look at it and just work together with it, we can do that. Great. And that's what the program is. We've got a little testimonial here from someone who did this program, which said, this program helped me accept my vulnerability as a person and take action to take care of myself. It helped me find that emotional peace that I had lost to the chaotic motherhood transformation, to find stability and see the gifts in motherhood. It gave me the tools to manage my emotions better and increase my patience. I no longer demand myself to be the perfect mom, and I have developed a greater sense of self-compassion. Today, I enjoy this new stage and I feel happier with myself and my son. It was from someone who did this, I did this with. And then, so this is the investment. So the 7-week transformational program has an investment of £277 for the 7 weeks. And then the audios, this should say 3 meditations, it's £25. And then the one-to-one session is £47. So the total investment would be, for the whole thing, would be £349. However, because it's an introduction, I'm running a very, very good discount. It is £147, the whole thing. It includes the 7 weeks, the meditations, and the one-to-one session that you can have during the program or after, up to 3 months after the program. And the registrations for the course close on the 24th of October. And we will start reset on Wednesday, the 2nd of November. That would be the first session. And finally, this is, like I said, so I told that if you stay to the end of this masterclass, I will give you a little gift, and this is your gift. You can have, it doesn't matter if you take reset or not, you will have all the people that are here will have a free one-to-one session with me on Zoom. We have a well-being call. We can talk about whatever challenges you feel that you need help with, or if there's anything of the 5 habits that are particularly kind of brought your attention and that you want to work together. Is it online or in person, Kate? It is online. It is online. But yeah, so this is yours. This is your well-being call, and for that you just need to drop me a message. So I'm gonna put my WhatsApp in the chat now, and there's my number. So this is for your well-being call. You can drop me a text on WhatsApp, and you can book your free one-to-one session. And yeah, that's it. And finally, for reset, if there's any questions about the program, any doubts that you have, please let me know. So I'm just gonna, or if you have any questions at all about the program, about the habits, masterclass, whatever it is, I'm just gonna if you want to, I'm going to stop sharing. And if you got any questions, feel free to open the microphone or write on the chat. Do you have a link? Oh, yes. Thank you, Tina. Here is the link. There you go. Here's a link where you find, thank you, more information about Reset. To book, you can just register yourself in there and I will contact you and we can go through the booking process together. Also, if you've got any questions at some point, you feel free to contact me either through WhatsApp or by email, or I'm on Instagram as well, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. Someone asked, yeah, it is online. Payment, someone said, okay. Payment options, we got some payment options. So the price is 147, and you can save your place with £50 deposit. So if you want to take advantage of that limited bonus of until Tuesday, which is a one-to-one session, you can book your place with £50 and then pay the remaining in 2 installments. So I got that flexibility to pay that. Yes, and that's all. And before I leave you, I just want to say thank you for being here, and just acknowledge that you took this time for yourself. It is, I know how hard and how little time we have, and what a big effort is for all of you to be here today. And if you're watching this on replay, same, it is hard to carve that time for yourself. So just minute to congratulate yourself for showing up, for being present for you. For if you're here, is because you already kind of want to take a step towards changing and finding more balance in your life. So that is already a big thing, and it's amazing. And thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing this time with me. It's been beautiful and great. Thank you.